We are joined by Chief Marc Bashoor. He is the executive editor of FireRescue1.com and FireChief.com. Thank you so much for joining us.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
So tell us some of the hot topics that you're covering and where viewers can find this information.
Yeah, so we've got a lot going on at FireRescue1.com and FireChief.com. The big edition that we just put out a little bit ago was a climate change edition. And you hear a lot about climate change in general, but typically people talk about climate change in terms of sea level rise. For firefighters, it's much more important to focus on actual changing weather patterns and how climate change affects weather patterns, because that drives drought. That drives the things that affect our wildfire seasons and affect the big fires that they've had in California and how they expand. So certainly the climate change is a big piece of what we've been pushing this year. We're working on in a digital edition for the active shooter situations with the two recent big shootings in El Paso and Dayton, Ohio. Obviously, it's a big topic on everybody's mind. We want to make sure that our firefighters have what they need to succeed in the 21st century fire service. It's just, I joke sometimes in classes that this isn't your granddad's fire department. Well, this is truly not your granddad's fire department anymore. When we have firefighters focusing on protective vests and how to respond to school shootings, and that becomes part of their normal training, pretty big deal, and we want to make sure that we're in front of that. In the packet that everybody at iChiefs that comes to FRI will get, they'll get our digital edition on FirstNet. They'll get it as a paper copy. That edition talks about what FirstNet is for the fire service, because I think a lot of people have heard FirstNet, but they really don't know what it is. So we try to explain that pretty well through a good Q&A. There's a piece in there about the FirstNet Center in Boulder, Colorado, where they do a lot of the testing. And then we give them a use case out of rural western Maryland, where they had a deployment of FirstNet for the county. And day one of that deployment, they were able to show the successfulness of the improved communications with the mutual aid call. So it's something that had been out there for years. It's coming to fruition. It's a really exciting time for the fire service when it comes to communications, and we try to cover that there in that edition. So that's kind of in a nutshell. That's a big piece of the things we've got going on right now.
So with so many hot topics to cover, especially like you're talking about in today's fire department, how do you determine what topics you're going to focus on from year to year?
Yeah, so a little over a year ago I came on as executive editor, and we had a great team already in place of the folks that were dealing with those topics all day long. And they've got a cadre of associate editors and columnists that provide information continuously. So I'd like to say there's a shelf of things that we pull from, but we're out in the field. I'm an active fire chief as well as I am the executive editor for FireRescue1.com. So I'm out there every day dealing with the same things that the people, that our readers are dealing with. So from my perspective, I'm able to keep my finger on the pulse, if you will, of what's going on in the fire service by my activities as a fire chief. The rest of our editorial team, our new editor-in-chief, Janelle Foskett, she is taking us to new heights in our ability to bring fresh data and to bring fresh people to the editorial advisory board. We just brought on 6 new people to that board from as far away as California to the East Coast. We're trying to geographically and demographically represent who our readers are and who's important to the fire service. And Janelle has breathed a lot of life into making sure that we bring that to the table and we bring the right people in. So we just announced all that anybody can go to FireRescue1.com or FireChief.com and they can find that data. They can find all of these articles we've talked about. Everything we do is digital and online.
So speaking of new things, I understand that there is a new merger. Can you explain that to us and also how that's going to affect the availability of resources for firefighters? Sure.
No, a real exciting time for us at FireRescue1 and FireChief.com. Our parent company at the time was Praetorian Digital. Praetorian Digital and Lexipol have now merged. A lot of people knew Lexipol and Gordon Graham, who brought us If It's Predictable, It's Preventable. A lot of the fire service people know that. If it's predictable, it's preventable. It's his mantra, if you will. So bringing Lexipol and Praetorian Digital coming together is going to provide so many more opportunities and resources for the fire service from a perspective of policy development. So we did a great job of bringing articles and bringing content to the table. Our Fire Rescue One Academy, there's so many different, the grants, so many different things that Fire Rescue One's involved with. Now bringing Lexipol in to bring in policy development and the ability to merge those things together is a great opportunity and very exciting for us at Fire Rescue One.
Chief Bashoor, thank you so much for joining us.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.